Why is the world catering to a mental disorder? Cater to my disorder, and thank God they don't. They don't cater to OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia, multiple personality. So why is the world catering to gender dysphoria?
See, I just know. You throw out these type of ideologies because you know what's going to get a rise out of people. You know what's going to make a specific community react. And that reaction gains you more momentum, more content. You strictly do this for engagement because you like to piss off the communities of minorities. Because hate is your marketing tactic. That is how you advertise yourself. You like this negative attention, you feed off of it, and it feeds your wallet. Which is why the best way to deal with you is to just report you and get you kicked off the app. Because there's no discussions for you to have to defend yourself. Now, let's talk about this shitty take. Now let's dissect this take. And by the way, these videos addressing your bullshit are not for you. These videos are for the people that you are influencing, the people who are vulnerable, and the people who look up to you for teachings. I already know that you're a piece of shit. I already know that you're racist and that you're bigoted. I already know that you purposely like being problematic, but there's a lot of people on this app, especially a lot of younger, newer practitioners that don't. This video is for those people who are looking for answers and then you confidently claim that you have them provided. And then the answers that you have are this. And because of your age, a lot of people look up to you blindly because you're an elder. The reason why people focus so hard on gender dysphoria is because it's an identity issue, similar to BPD. The difference with BPD is that your identity issues are rooted in attraction and influence, because BPD is a survival mechanism on the brain. BPD is a trauma disorder that's about adaptability and surviving. It's a trauma disorder based on that adaptability in terms of survival. It's a trauma disorder that formulates your personality in a way that makes you believe is going to help you survive easier and maintain the connections that you need. You simply cannot compare gender dysphoria to BPD, or in that instance, anything else that you listed off. And by the way, you don't think that they don't cater to any of those illnesses? Are you serious? With gender dysphoria, it has nothing to do with surviving. Sometimes trauma can be an influence, sure. But it is about you. Without that identity, you are nothing, which creates that crisis. Without the verification of that identity, there is that crisis. Versus BPD can create attachments to form a personality. Go to part 2 because I am not done.
Since you got your degree and you know every fucking thing.
Dysphoria is of the mind. So why are we catering to a mental illness?
This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go watch that first. Let's get back into the difference between BPD and gender dysphoria. I don't think that people realize that without that apparent identity, that it puts you in crisis mode because you are simply now nothing. And when you want to be something like another gender and you're not able to, that to people with gender dysphoria is the same as taking away their life. Because they're only living a life in which they don't want to, not the one that they actually want to live, because that life that they can't live is more true to themselves and their spirit. People cater more to gender dysphoria simply because of the statistics behind suicide. They do it to keep these people alive. Also because these people simply need more extensive therapy to be able to figure out what's going on. They need that extensive therapy because they are so lost. That's what gender dysphoria is. And therapy and all of these other treatments or catering or whatever is what helps keep them on track. Therapy and all of these treatments, or catering in your terms, is to keep these people on track with their healing process because it's more of an extensive process. These people, most of the time, need help navigating these issues. You have to understand that these people don't feel like they can exist until they're living authentically because they're so disconnected from themselves. BPD can be very similar. The difference between gender dysphoria and BPD is gender dysphoria doesn't have anything to attach to. BPD does because it's a personality disorder in which creates attachments and adaptability in order to survive. Like I said, it's a trauma disorder. There's influential factors. The influential factors can be your favorite person. It can be your trauma. It can be your social environment. It can be your physical environment. And you adapt to that accordingly, in which your brain thinks is best and suits your survival best. Gender dysphoria is not about surviving. Gender dysphoria is about living. And without that help, without that catering, they don't want to do that. There's already criteria that you can meet to heal your BPD, or at least get off the list so that you're less symptomatic. Gender dysphoria doesn't have a criteria. Gender dysphoria is a lot more new, meaning there's a lot less research, meaning people are going to talk about it more. Why? Because it's newer, and there's a lot to know about it and learn about it. You're just transphobic.
I'm professional.
If she actually understood the plights of being a trans person, she would understand the implications that her video has by putting it out there. She has just created a safe space on her page to be openly transphobic. Saying, why are we catering to trans dysphoria? Yeah, she's insinuating that trans people have a privilege that cis people don't. And I need all y'all to stop putting her on a pedestal. I'm so surprised, I'm so disappointed. Are you though? Or have you been looking at this woman with rose-tinted glasses? I've been watching her since 2019.
And I want to thank my haters too because...
And then been blocking her since 2020. That's why she named herself after Athlete's Foot. She bounces back. By no means am I defending her, but I need you to ground yourself that she's a 60-year-old woman. Like, think about the other 60-year-old women that you know. She's in that category still. She's out of touch. Since the table's open, look at her relationship with Bruhu Ryan. His appropriation. And then when they broke up, he went on this big anti-trans raid. Witchfoot's kid is trans.
Why is the world catering to a mental disorder?
I don't know, why do people cater to your antics, your misconceptions, and the pedestal that you put yourself on? Explain to me this, Jennifer. If the DSM, all forms of it, have all been linked to eugenicism and colonization, why do you think that homosexuality was considered a mental disorder for years until recently? Secondly, you're also the same person that said that Lord Lucifer was Enki, and there was no discussion to be had about it. Your gnosis isn't fact. You use slurs on live stream yourself. I mean, I always have your accounts blocked.
And I want to thank my haters too because...
Someone messaged me this video, and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that you would contribute to the transphobia that's going on right now by the fascists that run this country. But, I mean, it's not unlike your character to be a complete nimwit, so...
So why is the world catering to gender dysphoria?
And there it is. Maybe you will finally believe me now instead of attacking me when I tell y'all that Witchfoot is transphobic. Not only did they used to say that trans women can only access male power, trans women are seen as men in spiritual circles and in their spirit body, she now has chosen to attack gender dysphoria during a time when anti-trans laws and anti-LGBTQ laws are at an all-time high. Doing this, especially right now, is disgusting. And yet, a lot of the spiritual things that she practices come from hoodoo and conjure, the Caribbean, African-American Christian practices, all of that. And she's a white woman. Like, I was told that it's okay because she still knows what she's talking about. No, she doesn't, first of all. Second of all, just because she writes a book doesn't make her an expert and doesn't mean that everything in that book is even her knowledge. Stop supporting Witchfoot. If you are an LGBTQ creator or practitioner, if you are a person of color who is a practitioner, if you are an ally to either of those groups, do not support Witchfoot. And there it is. Maybe you will finally believe me now instead of attacking me when I tell y'all that Witchfoot is transphobic. Not only did they used to say that trans women can only access male power, trans women are seen as men in spiritual circles and in their spirit body, She now has chosen to attack gender dysphoria during a time when anti-trans laws and anti-LGBTQ laws are at an all-time high. Doing this, especially right now, is disgusting. And yet, a lot of the spiritual things that she practices come from hoodoo and conjure, the Caribbean, African-American Christian practices, all of that. And she's a white woman. Like, I was told that it's okay because she still knows what she's talking about. No, she doesn't, first of all. Second of all, just because she writes a book doesn't make her an expert and doesn't mean that everything in that book is even her knowledge. Stop supporting Witchfoot. If you are an LGBTQ creator or
Yeah, that's what the video that you're commenting on is about. There's nothing transphobic about anything that I said. I have no problem with trans people. I would fight for their equal rights just like any other group of people. Questioning something does not make it transphobic. Nothing about what I said was transphobic. Literally. Nothing in those videos is transphobic. Nothing. And the reaction that I'm getting is the reason why that these anti-trans laws are getting passed in these states. You don't know how to have a civil conversation. And the reaction to my videos just proves that. Your comments attached to this one prove it. All the response videos prove it. And because of reactions like this, from and the way the extremists, liberal, the way they handle stuff, y'all are guaranteeing a Republican president. Guaranteeing it. Which is going to give more anti-trans legislation get passed. And y'all don't see it. If y'all want to affect change in legislation and stop these flash bans, you need to take a page out of this man's book. This is Lucian Greaves from the Church of Satan. Because he gets stuff done. And he is calm and logical, not reactionary.